Hey guys, I just want to say thank you for tuning into this video. I know it's been a while since I uploaded and I do apologize, and I do have other videos in the works right now. So please just bear with me. I do have more content planned and being prepared for you. But today's video is going to be a little different from my previous content. I'm going to be talking about my experience with GOAT. So let's get into it. And so, first of all, before I even start about talking about like why I shop there or like anything like that, I'm gonna tell you what GOAT is. GOAT is a marketplace in which buyers and sellers can buy and or sell their rare or expensive sneakers and apparel. So if you've got a pair of Yeezy Red Octobers, you can sell those on GOAT just like you can on StockX or any other marketplace. But they do have a pretty good reputation. I will say that is why I shop with them in the first place, but I'll get more on that later. And yeah, so they've actually made a pretty big name for themselves as a good alternative to StockX. With that now out of the way, I kind of want to get into the whole how I got to get to GOAT. Yes, I did that on purpose. Alliteration's fun. So earlier this year, I decided that as a birthday gift for myself, I wanted a pair of Jordans. A pair of Jordan 1s specifically because they seem the easiest to style. So I knew inevitably that I'd be spending at least $200 or more on a pair of Jordans. So I figured I'd want something that wouldn't sit in my closet until I got the spark to be able to wear it or something like that. I wanted something I could put on, take off, day in, day out, and still have a different outfit with it that looks good. So that's why I decided I want a pair of Jordan 1s. Jordan 1s, they're so simple that it's kind of hard to go wrong when you put those on. And so I decided, that'd be my birthday gift. I wouldn't buy anything like clothes-wise for myself until after my birthday or until after I'd gotten those Jordans, whichever came second, because I wanted to be able to save money and say that this is something that I worked for and earned. If that makes sense. It's probably just a weak justification for spending $300 on a pair of shoes. But even still, I was able to stop myself from buying clothes and shoes, and I was able to have the money to buy those Jordans, and I love them. They're beautiful. They look great. But they weren't my first choice. So it's springtime, and it was around the beginning of spring when I decided I want a pair of Jordans. And so I decided I wanted a pair of Jordans that weren't just black and white, because I'd been wanting to wear more colors throughout these warmer seasons, and I thought just black and white wouldn't do it. I wanted something that has some color to it, but also some color versatility. Like with yellow, it's kind of hard to pair anything with yellow. With orange, it's way harder to pair anything with orange. But, light reds, blues, pinks, stuff like that, that's so easy to wear. And that's kind of what I was looking for. And that brings me to my first choice, which was the Air Jordan 1 Hyper Royal with smoke gray. And they're a beautiful shoe. I'm sure I'll have B-roll or have had B-roll somewhere in this video. But the Air Jordan 1 Hyper Royal with smoke gray, which is a mouthful, is a beautiful shoe. And that was my first pick. I'd heard about it early in February or January that it was going to be coming out April 17th. And I was super hype, especially since I thought I may have a chance to get it on sneakers, since the first video in which I'd even heard about it from in the first place, the person in the video, he said that it was a drop, like it wasn't worth buying, whatever. So I was like, he's an influencer in one way or another, so maybe he'll influence people not to buy them. But that was me just being naively optimistic, because people buy out all the Jordans regardless of what they are or how hot they are, just so they can make a quick buck reselling them. And so I did some more research on the Hyper Royal, and I learned that it was one of the most anticipated Air Jordan 1s to release this year. So I gave up hope on that. But luckily for me, there was a similar Air Jordan 1 that had been already released. It was the Obsidian colorway, which is a less distressed version of the Air Jordan 1 Hyper Royal Smoke Gray, if I could ever compare the two. The light blue on those is a solid white blue. There's no distressed looking on the suede, and it's leather, I believe, as well. And also the swoosh is black, which I'm sure I'll have B-roll of the Obsidian colorway as well. So I don't know, I'm describing the look of it. You can see it most likely. But that was my second choice. But that was just a little too pricey for me. I wanted something that wasn't $400 or $500. Like my sweet spot, I guess, was $200 to $300 because I knew I wasn't getting a pair of Jordans for retail. So I kind of dashed the Obsidians just like I did with the Hyper Royals with Smoke Gray, and I was looking for another shoe. Luckily, I found another shoe with Smoke Gray in it. It was the Air Jordan 1 Smoke Grays. They're beautiful. And I love them so much. I do like the gray and the hint of red on them, but I'm not here to talk about the shoe. I'm here to talk about GOAT and my experience with it and how I got to get there. So with my shoe selection process out the way, then I had to decide how I was going to buy the shoes. And I had 5 options initially that I was going to consider. Grailed, Depop, eBay, GOAT, and StockX. So with Grailed and Depop, they are secondhand online retailers. So you're buying from individuals who have curated items to sell online. And while initially I was completely okay with buying, a pair of secondhand Jordans, that's actually how I got to like decide I wanted one for my birthday, a pair for my birthday in the first place. I then decided that I kind of wanted my first pair of Jordans to be special, like to be all mine, for me to be able to wear them and be the only one to have worn them, because I don't plan on selling them at all in the future. They're my first Jordans. I just feel like that's a little taboo, I guess, but also just I don't want to sell them. I got them to wear them. And so I just decided not to go through Grailed or Depop, just because I didn't want a pair of secondhand Jordans yet, at least. So then my options became eBay, StockX, and GOAT. And I had some problems with eBay and StockX, and GOAT was looking like the golden boy the more I thought about it, because eBay actually does now have an authentication guarantee service, but it's really limited. So for authenticity guaranteed, you have to be selling a pair of Air Jordans or Yeezys for more than $100, and I think it's only in select sizes too. So like toddler sizes or big kid sizes are also a no when it comes to being authenticated. And also the service for authenticity on eBay is just too new for me to trust it yet. But I did see some pros, and you're gonna see why these are extra pros in my opinion later near the end of the video. But I did like on eBay that I could see the individual seller's page, how much they've sold, how many people have bought from them, reviews, star ratings, etc. So I did like that about eBay, because I am putting a lot of money into my purchase for a pair of shoes. So I kind of want to be able to have some confidence in where I'm buying it and from who I'm buying it from. So I really did like that about eBay, but I ultimately decided not to. Clearly, it's the topic of this video. And StockX, for me, I think StockX has had too much of a dicey checkered history for me to have wanted to buy from them immediately, though I was still considering them between StockX and GOAT, because StockX, it's been around longer. It also does have more consistency, but it also is inconsistent at times. Like I've seen and heard people say that they've bought from StockX and then sold right back and tried to sell right back to them, but they said that the shoes they just bought from StockX were labeled as fake from StockX. And so I was just like, if they can't even do that, then like, I get that everyone who authenticates shoes is human, but at the same time, it's just like, it doesn't really leave too much confidence in StockX. But that's ironic, because I ended up choosing GOAT, which is essentially StockX, but I do think it's a little bit better. I think you can get less popular shoes and other stuff like that, but I'm not sure. I think StockX and GOAT are pretty much the same with different names, if I'm not mistaken. But I may be mistaken because I didn't look into that. But what I've seen from between the two is that they are very similar. They just have different layouts. But I went with GOAT. I bought the Air Jordan 1 Smoke Grays from GOAT. And I initially was like, okay, I'm happy with this purchase. But back to the research part that I was talking about earlier. I did some research and there were some videos I'd seen where people would buy from eBay, GOAT, and StockX at the same time and compare their purchases, which was real, which was fake, if there were any reals or fakes in the packages that they got, who delivered fastest, and the price difference. eBay had the lowest prices overall. GOAT had the highest prices with StockX in the middle, clearly. Meanwhile, GOAT had the fastest shipping times, while eBay had the slowest shipping times and StockX in the middle, obviously. And fakes, they were all real shoes that they had gotten, so there's a no-brainer between those three. But the reason that the people whose videos I watched speculated that GOAT shipped the fastest is because they got the instant shipment treatment without paying the instant shipment price. So what instant shipping is, for GOAT at least, is GOAT will have a pair of the shoes that you want already authenticated and in their possession, and they'll ship it directly to you with no need for the seller to ship to them for authentication. So that should only take you 3 to 4 days according to GOAT's own app and website. And so that's why they thought they got the shoes in such a fast amount of time. And I thought maybe I would get lucky and get that treatment too. But that didn't happen, and I'll get more into that in just a second. So I bought the shoes, and the seller confirmed it almost immediately. And then I was like, okay, I got the shoes kind of late in the day, so I figured maybe they'll ship them tomorrow. I mean, it's only Tuesday, it's only Monday right now. So Tuesday comes around, and the seller hasn't shipped them yet. And I'm like, okay, maybe they've got other orders. And so Wednesday comes around and I'm like, okay, what's going on? So Thursday comes around and I'm like, okay, maybe I should say something. But I didn't. Friday comes around, I'm like, okay, I'll wait till Monday to say something. And then Monday comes around, the seller still hasn't shipped them yet. And so I contacted GOAT and I'm like, where are my shoes? I was a little angry because this is a $350 pair of shoes that I'm buying. And there is no actual human to talk to with the customer service. I'm sure there's people who are behind it, but I can't talk to a person with directly from GOAT's app. You have to make a request and then someone will email you after the request has been read on the app or via the app. But I sent in a request like, where are my shoes? And it turns out the seller just, I guess, wasn't gonna ship them because I got a new seller, which is what I was told, and they were going to ship them. The new seller confirmed, and then I think a couple days later, that new seller shipped them. And so I was like, okay, it should only be another week, because on GOAT's website and app, it says that it takes the seller 3 to 4 days to ship to GOAT for authentication, 1 to 2 days for authentication, and then 3 to 4 days for GOAT to ship to the buyer. And so I was like, sweet, only a week or so till I get my shoes. And I was happy to wait that time. But then a week passed and I was like, this is taking too long. Because the shoes were still shipping to GOAT for authentication after a week. And I was like, what's going on? Like, why is it taking so long for this? And I asked and they were like, we can't tell you, we don't know. Because the seller doesn't provide you a tracking number when they're shipping to GOAT, and GOAT doesn't provide you a tracking number that they must be getting from the seller. So I was just completely in the dark when it came to knowing where the package was, if it was even out, you know? And then there was authentication, and that took a day, I believe. And I do have some problems with that in hindsight. After I saw the shoes, it could just be Air Jordan quality control issues, but I'm still happy with the shoes. I do want to make that known, and I am still happy that I got them. I want to make that known as well. But there is no double checking when it comes to their authentication. So I just have to trust that whoever authenticated the shoes was right, that they were real. And for all I know, the person authenticating my pair of shoes could have been at the end of his shift, at the end of his week, and he also could have been on his first week. So he could have never authenticated shoes, for more than a year, and I wouldn't know that. So I just kind of had to trust in them. And granted, I mean, millions of people do, or else they wouldn't be so popular. But I was kind of like iffy about it, I guess. But that's here nor there, because I do believe they're real. I mean, they're a pair of general release Jordans. Who's really gonna be faking that? They really weren't that hype. So that's also why I wanted a pair of shoes that wasn't too expensive, because it was not as hyped, And I just kind of wasn't like 100% sure that the authenticator authenticated correctly. I mean, if StockX can make mistakes, who's to say GOAT can't, Who's to say the person authenticating shoes couldn't have just been on autopilot or something like. And so I will take their authentication with a grain of salt, but I do believe it, most likely than not. But the last thing, it shipped from China, which is honestly what I'm least mad about, because the shipping from China took a week, I believe, and I'm like, that's completely understandable, and that's actually way faster than I would have expected shipping from China to take. But just in general, the experience left a sour taste in my mouth when it came to buying from GOAT, probably from online marketplaces like GOAT and StockX overall, because there was no customer service to like alleviate any of my grievances that I was having or gripes that I was having. Like, there was no person that I could like talk to on the phone and be like, yeah, we're working on it. Yeah, we can look at that. We can look and see where the package is for you. And honestly, I don't like that. I don't like that. I like knowing that there's a person helping me, not a robot that's programmed by a person. I like knowing that there's a person helping me with my problem. I don't want this to turn into like some hate piece or whatever on GOAT, because I do want to offer genuine criticism, as if anyone from GOAT's gonna see this. But like, I do think that it would be nice to have a phone number to call rather than having to put in a request that may or may not be answered by a real person. I think it would be nice to be able to see the tracking number for the item that you bought, even if it is just going to GOAT, so you can know how long it might take to get there. It would be nice to know who's selling the shoes to you, like eBay or Grailed or Depop let you do, so that way you can kind of see for yourself, like, is this person trustworthy? Because on Grailed, what they'll have on profiles for Grailed sellers is like speedy shipper, and it's like a bunny icon, or a trusted seller is like a gold medal, or quick responder, etc. So that way you know like what you're kind of getting into when you're buying from this person. So if you have any questions, quick responder person is gonna reply fast, or you can know that speedy shipper is going to ship it next day or day of, or your order. Or trusted seller has so many sales and so many good reviews and this and that, that like, regardless of whether they're fast at responding or fast at shipping, you're getting what you're paying for. So it would just be nice to know who's selling the shoes when it comes to Grailed and StockX, because I know StockX doesn't really let you see who you're buying from too. And I think that's really the only things that I can even say I would want changed between those two apps. I've never bought from StockX. I do know they're similar, and that was my second choice for buying the smoke grays, but I think I may buy from them next time I want a new pair of Jordans. But I think I may just stick to Depop and Grailed for used Jordans. I got my first new pair and I love them, and it was at least a memorable experience getting them. If you've had any experience with StockX, eBay, with a new authentication service, GOAT, Grailed, or Depop, please let me know what it was like to buy from those apps, because I do want to know your experiences. One, especially if you bought from Goat before, I want to know if I'm the only one this has happened to when it comes to the seller not shipping at first until I got a new one. I want to know if I'm the only one that's ever happened to, or in my audience at least. So that way, if I know I am alone, then I can know I'm the only one that's happened to and I just got unlucky. But if I'm not alone, then that's probably a problem with Goat rather than, you know, the person buying the shoes, you know? I mean, it is the seller's fault for not shipping too, but, you know, it's Goat's fault for buying from them, if that makes sense. Maybe it isn't Goat's fault. But regardless, I do want to hear your stories about what it was like to buy from, you know, like I said, Depop, Grailed, StockX, eBay, Goat, or wherever you buy shoes, clothes from online. That isn't always necessarily the safest purchase just because you're getting it secondhand, technically. So please let me know in the comments below. Also, if you have any video ideas that you want to see, I'm super enthusiastic to take them and hopefully make them for you, because at the end of the day, you're kind of what's keeping me making videos. I mean, I'm making videos for myself too, but I kind of want you to enjoy it as well. So just let me know what you want to see. Let me know your experience. Thank you so much for watching this very long-winded video. I really hope you liked it. Really hope you took something away from it, especially if you're trying to decide for yourself where to buy from. I would still recommend it with a grain of salt, because I did get my shoes. They were as described, so I am happy about that. It was just a really long and arduous process to get there, and it'll take me a while to want to shop with Goat again. I'll tell you that right now. Thanks again for watching. Kiss your mother for me and have a good day. Bye.